I was watching a video by the Black Lodge the other day, and it was a very interesting conversation. More long form, like a 1 hour podcast. I'll put the link in the description below. But Black Lodge Game was making contents a few years back, and this video was their comeback after a few year hiatus. And I hope they keep at it because they have interesting thing to say. That being said, there was a few things that they said that I disagreed with, which is to be expected. It was a 1 hour show. And out of the disagreement I have would be somewhat pedantic, but I'm not above being a pedant. The first thing I want to address from their podcast, because I might milk some videos out of it, I'm not sure yet. And it's not to create beef or drama, it's about having a conversation. But what I want to talk about is, well, you've seen the title. Are RPGs just for fun? And the guy at the Black Lodge podcast said no, and I say yes. But what they talk about was more than this silly style of play that we often see in new gamers, where they cannot take anything seriously. They're just acting goofy and they always try to jam as many jokes as possible during a session. And if you confront them on it, they'll just tell you, "Hey, relax. It's just a game. We're just here to have fun." And this is what the Black Lodge guys were taking exception with, but I don't, because RPGs are a hobby. It's something we do for fun. And if you're not playing RPGs to have fun, well, you're doing it wrong. I guess you could do it out of like some social obligation or to get closer to someone. Anyway, most people play RPGs for fun. But that being said, fun is not the same as funny. Funny can be fun, but fun can be so much more. RPG can really make you feel all kind of emotion. There's drama, there is tension, there is grief and tragedy, the thrill of victory, the shame of defeat. And I think you can experience all those in RPGs, even more so than in movies or TV show. But all that is fun. And they did address that a bit, and like I said, the point I'm making here is quite pedantic. To tell you the truth, this was a subject I wanted to talk about before watching their podcast, and I even mentioned it a bit with DM Bloodward on one of his stream a couple of days ago. I'll put the link to that in the description below as well. But yeah, RPGs are not meant to be just silly, goofy things. You can have those moments to break tension, but if your game is just about this goofiness, you're missing out on something. I would even say that you're passing by the essential of role playing game experience. And this is something I was discussing a bit with Bloodward. And it might just be anecdotal, but I think a lot of those goofy, fun kind of players are people who join the hobby while older. And if that you see it less with people that have been playing RPGs that joined the hobby when they were young teenagers. And that is something I'd like to know what your experience is about regarding that. Let me know in the insult section below. But yeah, that's my working theory for now. People who join the hobby later on in life have a harder time to engage with the hobby on a more serious level. I think it come from the fact that what we do in the hobby as adult, it is a bit silly. We sit around a table pretending to be elves and barbarian and whatnot. And for someone that is just joining the hobby, it might be a bit embarrassing. So it's easier to just take it lightly. We get full of inhibition when we become grown-ups. But if we can let go of those inhibition, hopefully without drinking ourselves dumb, because that won't solve the issue. But if you can free yourself from your inhibition and you can engage more seriously with role-playing game, you'll be able to taste all kind of fun from this hobby that very few other activities can provide. And yet, nobody is saying that you can't crack a joke here and there. Well, maybe someone is, but that would be a unusual attitude. And there's something that I really like that Bloodward said, how those jokes that are made at the table are made out of character. They are jokes made by the players, not the characters. And again, a character could make a joke, but most of the time they are in pretty serious situation, and those situations should be taken somewhat seriously. And this is also it also linked to the D&D movie. They are clearly making this movie as a comedy, and I think it comes from this attitude from the new player, and it's something that is turning me off, because when I recall the adventure that we went on while playing RPGs, they weren't full of comedy. Yes, we certainly made jokes at the table, but what was happening in the game was serious, and we could make the distinction. And even when I recall past play session, they are almost like two different memories: the time at the table and what happened in the game. There is a distinction in my mind, but that stemmed from the fact that we could take the game seriously. So if you're one of those players that like to joke around a lot at the table, try one time to tone it down a bit and to take it more seriously. Let go of those inhibition. And of course, you'll have to find a group that is of like-minded player, but it is worth it. It is very fun. And I think you get more from the hobby. Thank you for watching, and take care.